Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Alaska. We are flying north to Barrow. We were just in a group flight with our friend Slan Alpha, Rob from Slan Alpha Adventures, and getting a little bit of an NDB lesson. Unfortunately, he had some trouble with his number 2 engine and had to return. Where were we? Ralph Ween Memorial Field. And so we are continuing on, and I don't know how well we're going to do here, but we're just about to make a turn, kind of our final turn here from Point Lay to Wainwright Village, and then Wainwright Village will take us into Barrow. And so I can show you kind of what we're looking at here. And again, we're we're just sort of tracking. We're in this area right here, getting pretty close to the Point Lay NDB, and then it's an outbound. What is that? 3.8. It'll be 212. Hey, Wolfpack Gamer, how you doing, man? Thanks for checking in. Good to see you. Were you over on Rob's stream? He had a little bit of engine issues, and I kind of was paying attention there. I think he was able to get back down safe on the ground where we took off from there, but I didn't hear. I was kind of trying to set up and figure out where we were going. Didn't hear how it turned out. He flies X-Plane 11. He flies the Reality Expansion Pack, and he flies that Baron. That it'll, if you don't do things just right, it'll get you. And he was worried he was actually going to have an engine failure, so he turned it back around. Oh man, Pack, sorry to hear your screen. That's a frustrating deal. Had a little bit of computer issue myself yesterday. I was getting ready to do a flight, and ended up doing something to my view in P3D, and extended the view across 2 monitors, and I could not figure out for the life of me how to get it back to just this normal view that you're seeing here. I was worried I was going to have to do a full reinstall, and it's not quite what you're facing there, Wolfpack, and hopefully it's nothing major. Working like a charm, yeah, and that's ain't it always the way. Now the screen just totally stopped. Now I'm sorry, that's frustrating, I know. Good luck, man. I hope you can troubleshoot that. The hard part about troubleshooting something like that is that you end up, it's hard because it's nice to have the device running that you are working on, and now you're going to have to do it, via a phone or somebody else's device, and that's been my whole last 24 hours, is searching forums and requesting help, and that's never fun, but that's part of the deal. If you're going to be on a computer doing things like this, you have to learn how to be a good troubleshooter. I think we're seeing, by the way, Point Lay up here, so we're gonna kind of close in. I'm not super great with the NDB in the Duke. I'll be honest with you. I'm much better with the NDB in the DC3 than I am the Duke, and part of that is because I'm not 100% sure how to read the DME. I think this DME may be coming from a VOR that we used right at the beginning. Let me see if I can show you here. So right at the very beginning, we have this VOR right here that I plugged in just as a reference, just in case the NDB didn't work. And so it's this Kotzebue 115.7. I think I still have that actually plugged in, so that could very well be, although we're much further away than 43 nautical miles, I think. Well, maybe not, but anyhow, that's what is going on right now. And again, Wolfpack, man, I wish you the best. I'll send you prayers, and I hope it works out and you get it figured out and you're back rocking it and rolling as soon as possible. I do need to say thanks. As you know, I spent quite a bit of time in the hospital the last couple days with my wife undergoing a medical procedure, and Wolfpack actually made a nice suggestion for an X-Plane, I think it's X-Plane 10 mobile game, and man, I tell you what, that was a lot of fun. I passed a lot of time playing that game, and it was really fun. So thanks, Wolfpack Gamer, for the recommendation. It's on my phone. I just stuck with the 172 Skylane. Yeah, I didn't upgrade, but there's a bunch of planes like you were mentioning that a guy could upgrade to, and that may be in my near future to pick some of those up. Yeah, and Wolfpack, I think that's maybe the best thing. Just send it back. Hopefully it's still under warranty. If it's a screen issue, those things are usually pretty simple, and we do a lot of that at the school that I'm principal of. We do a lot of those screen repairs ourselves. They're pretty simple and pretty quick. So I wish you the best, and we'll definitely pulling for you, man. All right, so we're gonna head out here and see if we can actually track this next NDB. Yeah, the approach course, or the course into Barrow, which is 122, Wainwright Village, 338. Get that spun around. 338. Yeah, Wolfpack. They'll just stop. They'll just blank out basically, and they'll be done just on the spot. They'll be working for a kid 1 minute, and the next minute it's like there's no power to them, and so yeah, it's not a huge repair, and it's certainly one that they should be able to take care of fairly quickly. Okay, well, here we go. We're on the NDB. We're heading in the right direction. We made that turn at the right time, and I see right now so this I don't think is actually going to be measuring what I'm. Yeah, that's. I think that is still information from here. Yeah, and if I change that, that goes away. So that is something I don't know how to do, ladies and gentlemen. So I have to do some just regular old calculations here and figure out how far it is from point A to point B, and try to make the closest calculation I can. We'll continue to track this course. It's nice to have that course anyway, but I do need to figure out how long the leg is, if there's a way to do that. Is there a way to do that? Now I'm scrambling just a bit here. I believe it's saying, I don't know why I can't just show you guys this. I believe this is saying 82 So 82. Yeah, but that could very well be. So this leg is 82 nautical miles, and then this leg, the last leg, is 58. Or excuse me, 64. So we will have to do kind of some old school distance equals rate times time type of estimated DME. Yeah, because I am not. Yeah, I've got it. I've got the ADF turned on here, and there is no DME down here that I know of. That's the only one I know of. So we'll leave that on just in case. Sometimes these with these DMEs, you can track the direction, for quite a while, and then you can pick up you'll actually pick up the DME a little bit later on. So Wolfpack is saying screen turns off when I turn it on, it becomes slightly darker. Yeah, it just sounds like that thing is just just worn out basically. Sorry, I'm getting a text here, and I think you're probably wise just to send it in right now before it becomes an even bigger issue. I mean, it's always worth searching the forums and saying, hey, here's what's going on. It's amazing if you just even do a Google search and say that, laptop, put a little detail in there, and just say, every time I turn my screen on, or screen's becoming darker and darker, or something like that. And you'd be surprised at how many people have had the same problem. And sometimes they have some pretty good suggestions, and it's even an easier fix than sending it in. But I mean, I do a ton of that stuff myself. But all right, I got to concentrate. I got to do some math here. So I'm going to estimate that we're about a 185 in terms of knots. So we're going to take the 82 knots. We're going to divide by 185. That's about 0.44 hours. So you multiply that by 60. It's 27 minutes. Now I'm starting my timer late, obviously. So I'm guessing I've probably hemmed and hawed and talked for probably close to 5 minutes. So I'm gonna guesstimate here that in about 20 to 21 minutes we will be closing in on that Wainwright Village and that Wainwright Village NDB, and then we can tune in Barrow. And again, a lot of this, if you've got things like an actual village or an airport, that's kind of part of this also, is you're picking it up visually as you go. And so we'll be definitely keeping our eyes outside as well, and that shouldn't take us too long to get there. Another 20 minutes, and then we'll turn in. So was not planning on streaming tonight, but I kind of felt like I needed to carry the baton all the way up to Barrow for our friend Rob over at Slant Alpha Adventures. Again, he has his flights on Mondays and Fridays, and he decided to do like a Flying Wild Alaska theme tonight, and I hadn't been able to join him for a couple of weeks. I like to fly alongside him and just kind of listen and learn from him, and tonight I was ready for another lesson, and he got about I don't know, 15 minutes into his flight and was looking at his gauges and noticed his number 2 temp. One of his temps was way high, redlining, and he wasn't able. He was opening cowl flaps and reducing RPMs and all that good stuff, and wasn't able to get anything settled down. And So just decided to head back, and that was his stream. It was, which is a great stream. I mean, honestly, if you talk about reality and doing things by the book, that's what it's like sometimes when you're flying. He made the point of, it's Alaska, and there's not a lot of help out here, and you don't want to you don't want to mess around and get yourself in a bind, because you put it down out here, and all it is kind of marshland, and it's nothing but you and those Kodiak brown bears. And so if you if you have problems, you need to play it safe and head back. And that's a good lesson, I think, for all of us, because it's something I know I'm guilty of not doing when I have equipment issues. And the Duke is it can be one of those planes that you can set the failures to be quite often. In fact, when I was first flying it, that kind of drove me nuts, and I almost stopped flying it, because like every third or fourth flight I was having an engine cut out on me, and I'm like, what the heck, and I was following the POH, and I was not, I wasn't redlining things. I was trying to keep everything in the limits and all that stuff. And then I finally went into the configuration tool and saw that there was actually a setting that you could adjust, and the setting that I had, I don't know if it came that way or not, but it was set for like a high probability of failures, which was like you could expect one like every 3 to 5 hours. And so I'm like, no, I don't mind the occasional engine issue, but I don't want to be that guy, the pan guy on BatSim that's always declaring emergency. And so I turned that basically down to where it was off. I mean, I think I have it on slightly or slight chance or something like that, and it's so it's supposed to be like a chance every couple hundred hours or something like that. So there's a little bit of realism in there, but for the most part, I fly the plane to fly the plane. I'm not big into practicing emergency procedures and all that good stuff. Not there yet, I guess. I may get to that point at some particular point in my life, but not just yet. All right, so Alaska is on my list for Orbix scenery, and there's actually quite a few. Let's see if I can find. I think there's a couple different meshes for Alaska, and of course Orbix has its fair share. I don't know that Orbix though has anything that goes this far north, but there is. Yeah, I'm gonna pull this up and see if I can verify that. Yeah, so here's what Orbix covers. Kind of this southern Alaska, Yukon, British Columbia area here. But we're way up here. We're heading, we're heading up into the that northwestern side, and I'm going to see if I can find. I thought there was a mesh, kind of a mesh project that was going on. Seems like I found it when I was searching. Actually, speaking of flying wild Alaska, I was searching for it as I was searching for Prudhoe Bay, which is where that show, the Tweedos. There you go. That's where that's that's where that's based out of, is is up there, but I actually am not. Yeah, I'm not really seeing it, and I'll keep looking a little bit, but I do need to pay attention, make sure we stay on course here. I don't want to get myself in a bind, and I need to monitor my own temperatures and pressures and all that good stuff. But yeah, I could have swore that there was another scenery, kind of like a mesh, for lack of a better word, that was being developed, that covered a little bit further north. Again, I don't know if it covers up here all the way. Right now, all you're seeing right now is global vector from Orbix, along with Orbix global base and vector. So it gives you the base gives you kind of the scenery layout, and then vector gives you the little bit more detail. Oh well, so speaking of the devil here, we've got low fuel warning. Oh boy, sure enough, we are down a little bit here, 25.9 gallons. So alright, well, you know, I thought we had plenty of fuel when we departed, but maybe not. So we'll have to kind of see here. Wainwright Village. This does say that there's a private airport right there. Yeah, PAWT. Pull that up if we need it. Yeah, so Wainwright Village is there, and the airfield is just to the east of it. Doesn't have a lot of information here. Closed to the public, private use only, but if it's an emergency situation, you would be able to land. Oh yeah, 3,000 foot, runway 3 and 2-1. Right traffic pattern for runway 3, left pattern for runway 2-1. Does have some lighting. It is a gravel strip though. Gravel strip with runway lights, huh? Interesting. Alright, we're going to keep that in mind, and maybe that's going to be our destiny today, is landing in a gravel strip here at Wainwright Village. Rob, if you're watching this, perhaps this trip just was not meant to be. So I've got to scramble a little bit, because I'm a little bit worried that I won't make my final leg here. 74 miles, and basically 20. I'm going to be under 20, or right around 20 gallons. Just trying to find my fuel burn chart here to see, because I'm closing in. Since I set my timer, I'm over 11 minutes now, so we're going to be getting pretty close. We are still, well, we're drifting a little bit here. Fairly well on the NDB. Excuse me. Interesting. Now I can't find that documentation. Alright, we're going to pull it up here. The Real Air, this is what we're looking at. Real Air Flying Guide. Seems like one of these has, again, has the kind of fuel management in it. There's that config panel that I didn't know about until I had an engine failure for the 29th time. Let's see, views, no. Pressurization, GPS, no. V speeds might be there on page 72. Preventable engine failures, yeah. I'm not seeing a whole lot here, folks. Let's go down to page 72 and just see. There's a nice little chart on one of these. This is not it. Alright, well, rats. The search continues. I think we're still just a little bit away, although the NDB is turning a little bit more. We're at, what are we, 24 gallons now? I feel like we have enough. I really do. I feel like we can get... I mean, let's say we have 20 gallons over the top of Wainwright. Then we need, you know, basically 4 miles per gallon to get all the way up to Barrow. Man, that's pushing it. That is right on the edge. Okay, well, you know what? If I've learned anything tonight, now that NDB is really rolling, we may be right over the top of right over the top. Let's do this. We're going to turn and head for Barrow. So we need to turn. It's about 41. Yep. So we've just passed it. And we're going to tune Barrow in here. We actually have, it's kind of nice, now we have a 116.2. We actually have a VOR. We'll tune the VOR and the NDB because we have both. We'll tune that in and see if that comes alive. Yes, it does. And again, we want, it's a 041 inbound. We're a little bit, we turned a hair soon, I guess. And actually, we'll leave this NDB in, and we're going to do the same thing here. So we need 74 miles, and we're clipping along about 185. So how long is that going to take us? And we'll get our timer set a little sooner here. So about 24 minutes is what we're needing. 24 minutes, 22-ish gallons of fuel. So can I get a gallon per minute out of my Duke? Yes, I think that's doable if and I'm just going completely off of memory here. It's and fuel burn, of course, is something that's you know, it varies. It varies because of the temperature that you're flying, the altitude you're flying, the speed you're flying, the wind. all that stuff. So it's always a kind of an estimate, although they do have a pretty good. I mean, they've made a science out of it, obviously, and you can calculate just about anything. It also depends on the age of the engines, and we've got 90 hours on these two engines. They're getting close to where they need a little bit of maintenance, but we're going to be just making an estimate here because I cannot find my performance chart. So I apologize for that, but I'm actually just scrambling right now and just doing a basic Google search because I can't find. I have that somewhere. But I don't know exactly where it ended up. Okay, we're having a hard time getting on this heading. Must be getting blown around a little bit here. There is also a heck of a magnetic deviation up here too, so that's another thing that's to consider. Alright, we're still above 20 miles and we only have about 18 minutes to go. We're going to be fine. Okay, we need to start doing some descent planning here before we get too carried away. So right now the weather in Barrow, PABR, Wiley Post, Will Rogers. Quick trivia question. Wolfpack Gamer, can you tell me the other airport that's named after, the city where the other Will Rogers World Airport, I'll even give you that hint, World Airport is located? Anybody watching? That's the trivia question of the day. Okay, surface winds 250. So we are looking at a localizer approach into runway 25. It's only 6 knots of wind. I guess we could, well, now that I'm looking at this, we may have to do a downwind landing because we're overcast 3,500. This is a little bit of an IFR type of day, and 6 knot tailwind is well within our limits here. So we'll pull up the ILS runway 7 information, and let's see. We will fly directly to Barrow, and then we're going to fly. We need to fly a little outbound course, do a procedure turn, come back in, and pick up the frequency of 110.5. It's a heading of 071. I think we can do that. Alright, be right back. Alright, I had to make a quick stop back in the old galley, if you know what I mean. Okay, VOR is coming in here, and we've got about 45, 46, I should say, nautical miles to go. Still over 20. Okay, we're golden. We are golden. Let that needle get centered. Pop the nav button. Get on course. Alright, still no winners in our Melvin Leroy first ever trivia contest. We are heading into Wiley Post - Will Rogers Memorial Airport, and the question is, which other airport, or what city is the location of the other airport that bears Will Rogers' name? And I'll give you a hint. It's called the Will Rogers World Airport. I don't have any fabulous prizes to give away, by the way, if you win this. Okay, since we are 40-ish miles, we're going to need to think a little bit about descent planning. When we cross... Okay, just looking again here. We're flying direct barrel. We're going to head out here, make the procedure turn, head back in on a 071. It looks like our initial and final approach fixed altitude is above 1700, so we'll probably begin our descent here within about 30 miles or so of the airfield. And I'd like to, if we can, I'd like to get down underneath the cloud layer. It's now saying overcast. Yeah, still 3,500. So if we could maybe descend down to, 2,000 or so, I think that I'd feel pretty good about that. And then we could fly this approach here. It's going to be a tailwind approach. We've got winds 250 at 6, so we just kind of need to account for that. We'll have to be a little quicker than normal. But should be doable. VREF is about 100, and so we'll probably be a little quicker than that. Coming in maybe about 110 or so, just to maintain good airflow over the wings. Okay, looking at that looks good. Looking at that looks good. Sorry, just checking some things on the other screen here. And we'll start our descent, like I say, about 30 miles out. See, that cloud layer really has moved in here. I'm not seeing a ton of precip. In fact, I'm not seeing any precip really at all. My active sky map is looking funky. I wonder if we're glitching or something. That's not normal. Do I have something set up? Yeah, active. Live weather is active. That's what we want. That does not look like normal weather. Clouds and precips are selected. Yeah, weird things happen up this far north, to be sure. Okay. Let's pull the power back slightly. This thing really gets going as you start the descent. We're going to take the prop sync off. Spin this down, like I say. If we can get down to 2,000, I'll be loving life. The nice thing about up here is there really is not much of a terrain issue. Pretty flat, as you can see, kind of before the clouds rolled in. It's a lot of marshlands and a lot of tundra, a lot of permafrost up here. Actually had a guy that I knew that went north to Barrow to be the school administrator, and yeah, they built the first ever turf football field for the school up there, and they actually had to build it on permafrost. But again, since it's permanently frozen, it was acceptable and suitable to do that, and the manufacturer of the artificial turf, of course, they employed some things to make sure that the shifting and the heaving of the ice, that kind of stuff, make sure that field stayed level. As far as I know, it worked great, and they were able to play their games on that. Before that, they like no grass grows up there, so it's like they play on basically gravel and dirt, and so it's quite the experience. Anyway, they were, needless to say, very, very happy to have the turf field. And yeah, interesting place. The guy grew up in the same small town that I grew up in Wyoming, town of about 180 people, and so it was interesting to hear his stories. Alright, descending down through Niner Thousand, 20 nautical miles away. If we're not all the way down to 2,000 by the time we hit Barrow, that's not a huge deal. We do have that back course that we have to negotiate. I am going to put in the 110.5. Excuse me. That's the runway localizer, and then we'll spin this to a 071 approach course as we head outbound, and we'll do that after we start the procedure turn, I should say. You want to keep it. You've never flown one of these things. You obviously want to keep the 16.2 localizer tuned in, because you're going to fly outbound on a 251 outbound radial until you get you're going to fly out 6, right? Yeah, 6 DME. You're going to make this turn, and this is a procedure turn. You fly 206, and then you turn it around. You make a right-hand turn 026, and when we're on this outbound leg here, that's when we'll spin it around. We'll put all this stuff in. We'll put the localizer in. We'll put the approach course in, and we'll flip it around, and we'll intercept that guy and head right back on in for a nice safe landing. That procedure turn is a minute long. So you fly the 206 course for a minute, and then you spin it back to the 026. You should have plenty of time to pick up that localizer. Okay, just taking a peek here. Again, we're below 10,000. Landing and taxi lights are on. Prop sync is off. Just kind of going through our approach flow. Pressures, temps all looking good. Frequency is loaded. Approach, except for the missed approach. Missed approach we climb to 1,000. Then we make a right-hand climbing turn to 2,000 and hold at the Barrow VOR at 2,000. So the approach is briefed. 12 miles, 13 miles away from Barrow. Probably make that turn. We'll give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room here. This thing, it's not scooting along too bad, but even 170, you're not going to turn on a dime. So we're most definitely in the soup, in the IMC. But we're getting closer, and with any luck and with the hopefully fingers crossed, without the magnetic deviation issues that you can have up here, we will make her in okay. Probably start my turn at about 3 DME. Again, I'm going to go outbound on the 251 radial. You could also tune in. There's an NDB here. Tune it in just for curiosity. It's 281. Let's see if that brings that needle to life. You never know. You could have something happen with your nav radio and all of a sudden lose your ability to track a VOR, and that, you know, that could be bad. Okay, well that confirms that we're on the right track. You know, we're heading in the right direction, because the let me show you what I'm looking at here. That's the Browerville NDB, which is just, looks like it's just kind of right over the top of where the runways are, maybe right in between. So that's a good NDB to have, because, you know, like I say, if something happens here, if somebody trips on the cord and turns off you know, Barrow, or turns off the localizer for the runway, you have some backup. We'll keep track of that here as we make those final turns. We'll see if that stays lined up with direction that we're heading. That will also help us know, like, we're going to get ready to make this turn. It'll also help us to know if we made that turn in a timely manner. Alright, 3,500. We're pretty close. Again, we were wanting to get ourselves down below the clouds. And the layer there that we're fighting is the overcast at 3,500. Hey, looky there, folks. I think we have ourselves an airfield. And even better, Al South checking in. Hello, sir. I've extended the trip because our friend Rob from Plan Alpha Adventures had engine troubles, so I thought the least I could do is just stream the rest of his planned route. How's your Monday going, Al? We're turning an outbound 251. Yeah, so so if Al South is saying he started watching the stream we were talking about and then had to step away. Well, here's what happened, man. Reality Expansion Pack happened, I think, and he, about 15 minutes into his flight, he started getting an engine warning. Oh, that's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Let's see if I can capture that. Let me get on that side of the airplane. No, I'm not going to be able to do it. Darn it. And I'm not getting the sunset I thought I would. Look at that. Anyway, he started having engine troubles and had to turn back. Went back to the airport that we departed from, and I'm going to have to watch the end of his stream because I don't know how that turned out. But he was thinking it was something to do with that Reality Expansion Pack that he uses, and all right. But anyway, we're roughly flying a back course here, and again, we've turned maybe just a hair too soon, but we're flying this. It's going to be a 6 DME back course. We're going to then fly this procedure turn and come back in to land on runway 7. It's going to be a tailwind landing. And you know what? We're just going to fly it. We're going to just fly it outbound here. We're not going to be right lined up. You know, you can see we're outbound here. We're just about getting to 6 anyway. We'll just extend that procedure turn a little bit because we understand we're north of course, and so we're north of the VOR. So we're going to want to, you know, we're flying Oh yeah, so I actually turned late. So we're flying up here north of course. So we'll extend this downwind part of the procedure turn a little bit further, so we make sure we come back and grab the localizer. We don't want to turn too quickly and not give ourselves a chance to capture the localizer. Boy, my speed came up in a hurry. There's 6, so we can turn 206 right now. I think that's about 206. Boy, I've been using my timer a lot today. We'll get heading 206 instead of going 1 minute on this this procedure turn leg. We'll go 2 minutes and just make sure we get, yeah. So we're actually going through the localizer right here. So that's a good sign. We want to get on the other side of that localizer. I do want to get myself down to flap speed though. So we're going to try to get this guy down into the wide arc here, so we can set. We actually could put the first notch of flaps in anywhere here if we wanted to, but we'll hang tight, make sure we get down to where we need to be. Okay, timer's going. In the meantime, 110.5, that's our runway localizer frequency, and this needs to spin to 071, so all the way around the horn here. And that's where we're going to be aiming. Right about there, I think. Level at 2,000, we're below the cloud layer. That's pretty cool. Yep, so out south, the arrow pointing, if it's pointing this way, it means you're flying. If it's pointing on the bottom of your dial, it means you're flying away from the localizer. And then obviously if it's pointing up, that means you're flying towards it. So we were wanting to fly outbound, so that's good confirmation. We also have this, we tuned in the DME, and we're going to see if that, we figure the DME is basically right in the middle of the two. It looks like there's a couple of, maybe not 2 runways, but right next to the runway that we're coming in, runway 7. So we're going to see how closely it follows that as well. So we're a minute 20 on the outbound now, and like I said, we're extending this part of the procedure turn just a little bit because we turned late. We want to make sure that we pick up that VOR when we come back in. All right, we are also at a spot. We'll put a notch of flaps in. We'll kind of get our speed under control. Since we are landing on the downwind leg, our normal VREF is right around 100, and so we're going to make that about 110 just to keep good airflow. There's 2 minutes. Okay, so we're going to spin back. The course that we need here is 026. I'll show you that in just a second. Once we get ourselves headed in the right direction. There's 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish. So we flew that 206 out. Now we're flipping it around, flying 026 back, and hopefully here we'll pick up that localizer, and we can we'll go ahead and fly the instrument approach at least a little bit. Always good. I like to practice that at least, and so we'll get ready to fire up the approach key here in just a sec. Now we're turning nicely. This NDB is coming around like we want it, and with any luck, this approach course and that NDB course will be exactly the same as we're making our way on final. And we're now, let's see, we are 13 miles out. Yeah, so we actually went a little further out than maybe we needed to, but that's also not a bad thing. We were worried here a little bit ago, Al. We got a little fuel light that came on, and I was scrambling to find my charts to see if I had enough fuel to make it the last little bit, and could never end up finding them. But we were able to kind of take a look at the amount of fuel and the distance that we were covering, and And sure enough, we're going to be just fine. So there, by the way, is the ILS, the glide slope, and so we're in good shape. Arm the approach. Localizer's coming in. I might have armed that just a hair late. Yep, I did. I flew past it a little bit, but that's okay. It'll pick it up on the back side. And we'll just hold 2,000 until that glide slope picks us up. We'll just make sure that we're maintaining appropriate flap speed as well. We can blow these flaps out. I've done that. And we're looking for, like I say, a speed of 110. There's our runway. And yeah, it's picking it back up here on that back side. Again, missed approach. We're going to S-turn just a little bit, aren't we? That's okay. Missed approach, we're going to climb to 2,000. It's a right-hand turning climb, and we're actually going to, we'll punch 116.2 back in, and that's where we'll hold, basically right over the top of the airport. And we don't have any ATC, so what we would do is hold there until ATC told us different. But actually, if we go missed approach, what I'll probably do is just enter a right-hand traffic pattern and just try again. Yeah, maybe we would even enter. Yeah, we're committed to this approach, so we'll go ahead and we would try it again. All right, glide slope's coming in. Let's see if it picks it up. As soon as it does, we'll enter in another notch of flaps. Keeping our speed. We're a little quick right now, but that's okay. 7 miles out, 7-mile final. And sure enough, down goes the nose. Let's put in our final notch of flaps. I can't say that I've ever landed here, which is one of the reasons why I was excited that Rob was wanting to fly up here. It's a shame he couldn't make it. Okay, we're going to go prop and mixtures full. Landing lights are on. Flaps are full. Gear is down 3 green. Speed is coming down. And I just get a little bit of haze there that just makes me want to stay on the instrument here for just a little bit longer. Maybe we'll take it down to about 500. Decision height, if we needed it, is 249. So by the way, that's indicated down here. You'll see our altimeter coming down 249, but I don't think we're going to need it. Alright, there is 105, so we've actually gone a little past. One last peek at the weather, 250 at 6, yeah, so just a slight tailwind here. Cloudy. Nothing much has changed. Okay. Off goes the autopilot, and let's see if we can get this girl on the ground. Getting a little high, a little bit above the glide slope. Decrease the power just a bit, nudge the nose, trim the nose down just a hair. Again, we're trying to maintain 110, but we don't want to end up too high, which can happen in a hurry with a downwind landing. There we go, kind of back in business there. Speed's getting a little low here. Let's give it just a nudge. Yeah, now we've overcorrected slightly, so we're getting a little bit low. Not too bad though. I think this will work. 3,000 foot strip. Actually, no, this one's 5,500 foot over the threshold. Pull the power back. I'm a little bit left of center. Not too bad. On to beta. Hold that center line. Okay. Let's see if we can get left turn here at Charlie. Oh man, we slid by that almost. We'll go down to the end of the runway. This thing has a little bit of a burst after you take off the beta. I've noticed it's kind of a strange thing, and you pick up a little bit of speed there. Sometimes I don't quite time it just right, but that's okay. We'll head down the end of the runway here. Give me a chance to pull up the do I have a taxi? I don't have a taxi chart at all, so we're gonna just see, and maybe we don't even have a taxiway. Well, you know what? Let's do this then. We're gonna have to back taxi back to Charlie. There's nothing over here. No, everything's to the left of the runway. Oh, don't go too far. Alright, well, welcome to Barrow, Alaska. And I'm curious to see, this looks like maybe it's one of the airports that received a little extra love from Orbix in their small airport pack. If you're a P3D guy, Orbix has a free add-on, and of course it works better if you have like the global base, but they go through and they add little elements to some of these default airports. They give them like little cars and people walking around, and kind of the lights are a little bit nicer. The runway lights are, you know, look a little bit better, and yeah, so it's kind of cool. Now south, I think, yeah. Oh yeah, you're the X-Plane. You're another X-Plane guy. Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of you guys enjoy that X-Plane, and I don't blame you. It looks awesome. But stuff like this sure is nice. It just, you know, it just gives you like a little bit of fresh paint on some of these old default airports. They can get pretty, they can all kind of start to look the same here, can't they? So it's a dead giveaway if we see people walking around, and sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense what they're doing. Like one of the airports had two ladies out smoking by the fuel tank, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably not good. Yes, I have, but I haven't. Al, I've got the demo downloaded, and I've flown a couple different planes in the demo version. It gives you like 15 minutes, and you can fly around the Seattle area, and that's pretty cool. I mean, there's no doubt the potential is there. Yep, there's our guys walking around. So yeah, they did get this is one of the small airports that they enhanced, and that's pretty cool. I have no idea, by the way, where we're going. We're just kind of cruising in. So I've got like a little bit of a taste of it, I guess, Al, but not much. Truly, I really want to dive into it. And I don't know if I was talking to you about this. Somebody asked me about this earlier on, and I pretty much devoted my whole summer to upgrading and moving from a very old machine to the machine I'm currently on. and it's pretty much taken the entire summer to get everything configured back up and running. And I just don't know that I'm quite ready to devote that much time again to X-Plane, because I know it's going to take, there's going to be some definite config time that you're going to have to spend, and not to mention, I mean, it's going to cost some money. I know everybody raves about all the free things that are available on X-Plane, but the really good stuff costs money, and so that's something else I'm a little short of, is money, time and money, right? Isn't that the old saying? But no, for sure at some point, the winters get pretty long around here, and I really see myself, you know, definitely stepping into the X-Plane world a little bit more more closely, and because it's got, like I say, some really cool things to offer. All right, quick shutdown here. We'll turn everything off light wise. Panel lights can come off. We can turn all of our radios off. We will turn the master off, avionics off, and I think everything else is closed. Yeah, that's gonna do her. So yeah, Al South is saying, cost-wise, some aircrafts are more than others. Yeah, and I know there's some things that I have in P3D that I'm going to want to have in X-Plane. Like, I'm going to want to have Active Sky. I love Active Sky. I don't know how you can fly without it. I love that. The Navigraph stuff, I'm going to want that. And I'm going to want some scenery, and I think scenery is probably an area where it really, X-Plane, that's where you do get good value for the money. But I'm going to want some Orbix stuff. I love my Orbix stuff, and all that stuff costs money. And I see the airplanes that are continually being cranked out by the developers, and they're phenomenal. But very few of them anymore are free. And so, like I say, at a certain point, I see myself picking up. I think X-Plane 11 was on sale the other day for like $39 or something like that. That's an investment I can make, and then you can slowly work up, and grab some of that ortho scenery, and grab those. Like the plane that Rob flies. It's a beach default beach Baron, and the reality expansion pack costs a little bit of money, I think, but I mean, you can fly the Zebo 737, and it's all free. So yeah, to make a short story long, I do plan on at some point in time getting into that a little bit, and yeah, I'll be sure to let you guys know. You'll see it here on the channel, that's for sure. Speaking of seeing it on the channel, just some things coming up. Again, tonight was kind of a bonus stream, which is cool. I like doing those things. But we are planning on being in NorCal tomorrow. They've got an event, NorCal Tuesday, and so we'll be a little bit later. We'll be at 0100 Zulu instead of our typical midnight. And then Wednesday we'll be back with another edition of Small Airport Wednesday, and so have a couple airports in mind. Speaking of freeware, that's kind of where these are coming from. So we'll be back again probably about midnight Zulu on Wednesday, but the next two nights, we'll be rocking and rolling, and back in the air. It's been good to be back, and appreciate Wolfpack Gamer for checking in early on. Al South, always good to talk to you, and anybody else that maybe stumbled across this. I hope hope things are great wherever you are. Hope all is well in your world, and we'll see you on TCAS. Take care. God bless.